How beautiful would these look on a dining room table? The sky's the limit. Welcome to Crafting with Jana. I'm Jana and I'm so happy you're here. I want to share with you how to transform an ordinary candle to something extraordinary. And you can change your dining room table, your coffee table really into something so beautiful and using your own designs. That's the beauty of this. So you can use paper napkins or tissue paper. If you use a tissue paper, you obviously can use your own designs. Now, I want to explain to you something very important. When you're getting ready to light your candle, the wick is there's a large wick. And if you don't have these type of scissors, don't worry, you're just going to cut it down. Because if you don't, the smoke is going to be horrible and your candle is not going to burn properly. I would like do it like that. So this I did with paper napkins and I did it with tissue paper. So the lemon trees are paper napkins and my birds and ladybugs and butterflies are all tissue paper. I like the thick candles because they burn in, okay? So less likely that anything will catch on fire. Now, when I say catch on fire, when you have paper napkins, you really want to be around that candle and make sure that it's burning correct. I find that I don't have any problem when it's burning with only tissue paper with my designs. But it's such an incredible gift and you can personalize these with initials. It's really endless. So what you're going to need are your scissors, your paper napkins, your tissue paper. You're going to need just regular old copy paper. You're going to need double-sided tape, regular tape. So when applying your paper napkins or your tissue paper, you can use a craft iron. You can use a hot gun. And all of these you can find in your craft store, Amazon, or you can find them at Walmart. And if you don't have any of these, don't worry about it, okay? So you can use a candle. I would use a larger one than this, and a spoon. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. Now, if you don't have any of this, then you can use a hairdryer, okay? So don't worry about which thing you're going to use to apply your images. So this will only work if you have a laser printer, only laser. This will not work if you have an inkjet. Listen to me, because when I printed the first time, I thought that my tissue paper was not going to hold up well with just regular, and you know what? It doesn't work. You need to use copy paper, and I'm going to show you. And the images print beautifully, and they apply beautifully. So if you're going to be using candles like this, I have burned these, okay, only tissue paper. And I'll tell you what, and also you always want to cut the wick on these also, okay, before you even turn them on, because if not, it causes a lot of smoke and it's just not good. I did test these and you don't have to worry about these catching on fire. What happens when it gets to the design, it'll just start melting down. And then sometimes you'll have like a flame, but it goes down immediately. Not with the napkin. The napkin will catch on fire. I like to start my images here. And if you have like a very tall candle, it's even more spectacular. Now, I didn't do it in this tutorial, but we could take this candle and I could actually paint the rest of it up here. And I'll show you all how to do that. It's a lot of fun. The designs are absolutely endless. This is a candle also that I think has 2 hours, but you see how it burns towards the inside. Okay, I think we're ready to go. So let's get started. I'm going to bring the camera down and let's have some fun. So here we are again with paper napkins, and it used to be a white candle. So we can just change something from ordinary to extraordinary just with your imagination, your paper napkins, the design you want. It's absolutely endless and you're going to have so much fun doing it. You just have to use paper napkins. You can use tissue paper. Well, I will show you in a minute also. But I just think they make such remarkable gifts in table settings. So here's the tissue paper and here's the candle. I just wanted you to see it before we got started. You're going to need copy paper and just one sheet at a time. Please don't use any other paper, any heavier paper. You really need it to be thin to go through your laser machine. Here I'm taking double-sided tape and I'm just going to tape the corners of my copy paper. And the reason I'm doing this is because I will be placing on top tissue paper. And this just gives me a grip. So when I turn it around and I fold the back, it's really important that you have a very good grip on your tissue paper, because you are going to be running it through a laser printer and you do not want it to be moving around. So the tissue paper I'm using is just regular tissue paper, white tissue paper. And there is a shiny side and there's a matte side. And you always want to place the shiny side down because you want to be able to print on the matte side. Okay, so now you can understand why I put the double-sided tape. It's going to give a great grip and I can remove all the wrinkles and it's going to keep it into place, and I'm going to cut all the way around my paper. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to fold that paper under, and I think I've cut it too wide actually. I'm going to come back in and cut it much thinner, but you want it wide enough to where you can fold it over because you really want to have a great grip before it goes through that laser printer. So you're going to fold it over and just put very thin strips of the Scotch tape, so it's kind of like an envelope. And I like to come in and cut the corners off. It's just easier when I'm folding it. Just cut that piece of tape in half and just go all the way around and with the edges and fold that tissue paper onto your paper. So now I'm going to print on my tissue paper. And please keep in mind, this is a laser printer. It's very important that it's a laser printer. Only put one sheet at a time and don't jam anything, just one sheet at a time. And here we go. Look how beautiful that is. Wait till you see it on the candle. And I have several that I'd like to do, but you know what? Let's stop it here and let's go to the table and start. So I always like to get everything in order. And the first thing I do with my paper napkins is I like to iron them out. It makes it so much easier when you're getting ready to cut them, not to have wrinkles or any lines in them. Here I'm using one of my Cricut irons, which is not necessary at all. You can use a plain iron, and I'm going to do one with a plain iron. Don't feel like you have to go out and buy anything else. And just smooth out as much as you can, because believe me, it makes all the difference. Now, here I'm going in with another napkin on my ironing mat. And I'm just going to use a regular household iron. I just wanted you to see that there's nothing special that you need to remove these wrinkles. What you do not want is steam. So make sure when you're ironing, there is no steam in your iron. So you're always going to want a very, very sharp pair of scissors. It really facilitates your life. And do not remove, while you're doing this, the extra layers of your paper napkin. You really need the support to be cutting. We'll remove those later. And I like to cut out my larger image before I start going in and tweaking and cutting it closer to, well, here, my lemon tree. So I'm going to speed up the video while I'm cutting out the rest of the lemon tree. Okay, so now I'm going in closer to my leaves and to my image. And it doesn't have to be perfect because we're putting it on a white candle, and what's going to happen is you're not even going to see the white. But you do want to clean as much as you can, get rid of as much white as possible. But it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, and you'll see. As you can see, I already had a lemon tree ready to go. And what we're going to do now is just turn the tree around and we're going to remove those extra layers. And I always like to use my Scotch tape just to grab the little corner, and it really facilitates pulling off those layers. And you really want to make sure that you pull off those layers, because believe me, sometimes it's very tricky and you think they're all off to find that there's one more layer left. And I've done this and I have ironed it on or whatever I was doing, and all I got was white tissue paper. So remove those layers. If not, you're really going to be upset. And there you go. We're getting ready to apply it to the candle. And here's the tissue paper that we printed out the images. And the beauty of working with tissue paper is you can work with tissue paper and napkins. So say that you find a fabulous napkin and you're in love with it, but you decided you wanted to add other elements. Well, this is the perfect craft for you because you can add the other elements with tissue paper. So we're going to be mixing tissue paper and paper napkins, and it looks fabulous. Okay, now to the fun part finally. So grab your candle, and it can be any size as I told you. My tissue paper is on a white background, and so obviously I'm working with a very white candle, and you can do off-white. It's up to you. And you can see that my image is too large, so I'm just going to cut it. Then I'm just going to see where I'm more or less going to be placing my butterflies and my birds, just to get an idea of how many lemon trees I'm going to put on, how many birds I have to have, or ladybugs, whatever it is that we're putting on, just to get a rough idea of how I want to place everything. So now you're asking yourself, okay, so how do I apply it? Well, you can use a heat gun. You can use a candle and a spoon, or you can use a craft iron, and you can also use a hair dryer. Okay, grab your wax paper. You cannot do this craft without wax paper. You need that barrier between the paper and the candle, the heat. If not, it would be an absolute mess. So, and also the wax paper is going to keep everything in place. So you're going to want to put it around your candle, around your paper napkin, really tight. And that's going to keep it in place. And it's also going to protect, I'm going to be using my iron. And if there are any leaves or anything that's folded over, this is a time that you just want to make sure that everything is in place. So here comes the fun part. We have the wax paper and I have my craft iron, and we're going to start transferring that beautiful lemon tree onto the candle. And you never want to keep the heat on one spot, no matter which of the techniques you're going to use to transfer this image. You always want to keep it moving because it is wax and you will create holes or indentations. And you know what? Indentations are fine. It's normal. It's a craft. It's not perfection. It's beautiful. And if you find you have an indentation that bothers you, just when it's warm, rub it out. But I can tell you the most important thing is to always keep it moving constantly. And I love it when you see the wax paper turning shiny and it's basically telling you that it's adhering, it's transferring. Okay, so now I'm applying the images I did on the tissue paper. And you always want to use a fresh piece of wax paper. Do not ever reuse wax paper to apply an image. It'll be a horrible mess. And also, when you're lifting your wax, here I'm like just rubbing it in and evening out the wax. Now, if, for example, you pick up the wax paper and some of the image comes up with it, don't remove the wax paper, just gently put it back down, apply the heat, and it'll work beautifully. And if you find that you bring up the image and you've ripped it, don't remove the wax paper, just put it back down gently and apply the heat, and you will never know that it ripped. It just all goes in beautifully. Please never reuse a piece of wax paper. So while I'm doing this, I just wanted to tell you that as a rule of thumb, candles should not be allowed to burn for longer than 4 hours. And if you're asking why, well, if you burn a candle too long, carbon can collect on the wick and make it unstable. And this can lead to a dangerously large flame, smoke, and soot. And of course, never leave your candles unattended. So I'm going to continue applying all of my tissue paper and my napkins on my candle, and let's go on to the next. So here I've applied several images and I'm applying my wax paper, and we're going to use the candle and spoon method. So I should have used a larger candle actually, because this is going to take a little bit longer to heat up. But what you're basically doing is heating up that spoon to transfer the heat onto the image of your candle. So once that's heated, you're going to just turn the spoon around and rub your napkin or your tissue paper, whatever you're using, and just gently rub it around. And you can see here that the paper is turning to a shiny color, which means that it is adhering, it's transferring onto the candle. So here I'm just taking off the wax paper, deciding if I'm going to add more images. So here I'm coming in with my beautiful birds, my tucanes, and we're going to be applying it. Don't forget, it's just regular tissue paper, the kind they put in gift bags. And it even comes in so many different patterns. You can use that also. We're going to be using a heat gun now. So you have a lot of ways to be applying these images to your candle. If you find at times that your image is too large, don't worry about it. Just try to fit it in the way you want. You can always cut off the bottom part, or either that, get a larger candle, or go back and print a smaller image. So here we go with our wax paper. We're going to secure that image down,
Now with the heat gun, I want you to be careful that you don't burn yourself. I don't want you to burn yourself with anything, but sometimes when holding it, it really heats up and you really want to pay attention to that. Maybe you might want to use a towel or, I don't know, oven mitt, but I'm okay. And as you can see, the wax paper is going to start turning shiny. Gently take the heat over it, briskly and over and over and over. Don't keep it in one spot, just keep it going. I love seeing the wax paper when it turns shiny because I know that it's adhering and it's transferring onto my candle. Really, the sky's the limit. You don't just have to do images. You can put sayings, you can put names. It's endless. I hope I've inspired you to do beautiful things. It's really amazing how you can take a simple white candle and turn something ordinary into something absolutely extraordinary. How beautiful would these look on a dining room table? The sky's the limit. I mean, you can put a poem under, you can put initials. There are so many things you can do. What a fabulous housewarming gift, a gift in general. I would love to see what you're doing. DM me. Take care. See you soon.